Not the live stream that I had planned on doing, but I am still live, and I figured that what I've got to talk about is probably a part two of the last time I was like this. So just as valid and just as important to allow ourselves time. So, one, how are you? Two, I thought I'd share. Really wanted to be open and honest about how I'm feeling right now, and I'm feeling what's I just heard these words. I thought, oh, I love that. I have to share this. Kerry Kay said, "Are you shifting? Are you shifting everywhere?" Feeling like shift is happening, change is happening in the body. So I have been through the sacred season, and I've been talking about a lot on a lot of my videos and my lives. I've said about like sugar is something that needs to go, and had this conversation. I think the catalyst as something that I've always connected with. If I have even a tiny, and it literally was about that amount of a low alcoholic wine that someone offered me just before Christmas, that would have been fine on its own. But normally then, once that's happened into my body, it kind of acts like a catalyst then for other acidity. So on Christmas Day, I'd had some tomato juice, and again then Boxing Day, then food that was rich, fried vegan processed foods, and but already Boxing Day morning, stuff that normally my body would be fine with, was reacting to. Now, there's a couple of different ways you could look at this through the lens of, oh, well, you've probably got sick. Loads of people over Christmas have been under the weather. There's lots of things going around. That's on one level, one lens of how people might see this, and I understand that. Then another level, for me, it's the sensitivities. It's knowing that I've stated in a conscious thread that I know my body does not want to have as much processed food. So therefore now I'm aligning with that new reality. And in order to align with that new reality, I have to level up in all those areas. So one of the things that we know, in order to be in alignment, you've got to be in alignment with what you think about something, what you feel about something, and what your body is with that, how you be. And if how you be on the physical level is not being in alignment with what you think about something and what you feel about something, then you're going to get resistance, hence resistance. So that's another lens or perspective that you could look at it. Or alternatively, people might say, well, it's ascension symptoms. And I agree on different levels for this one. And I want to address this because of something I heard Kerry Kay say in a video, and I'll link the video below mine because I think what they were talking about is very valid as well. They were talking about timeline jumping, and they dipped into about ascension symptoms, and what she mentioned was that we've kind of, even in our spiritual community, have started, oh, it's the free fall. If you're not feeling well, then oh, it's just the ascension symptoms, and that's become a pseudonym for or a blanket thing that we give if we're not feeling well. And it's important to still take responsibility for what that is. So could it have been a bug? Could it have been a sit up a little bit. I want to feel the sun. She says I could feel it when I was laying here, which is one of the reasons I think I felt well enough to go live. It was reflecting off the TV screen, which has come back on. And I can see Matthias's beautiful face on there from initiation I had in the background when I went back to sleep this morning. So the screen had gone dark. The sun was reflecting through the window and hitting me, and I could see the beautiful colours across the screen, and it was just seeing the colour and looking at the light was making me feel a little bit more human again. So what was I saying? Yeah, it's this blanketing, it's that. And I'm not discounting that it's that, because there is definitely now a sense of releasing the density that people are realizing actually this is in correlation with when we have these high solar flares hit. That's when I feel this way. And I have said lots of times that for me personally, say for example, I'm gonna try to sit up, thanks boys. The cats are there. When the full moon energy hits, that's when I get it 2 days before. Generally that's my And now I know, knowing on a time frame that it's released, and then people I know or other people I know, that they'll get it a couple of days later. And I think part of that is part of my own journey of what I'm doing is if I'm teaching, so I go through it so that I can express it, so I can share it, so we can verbalize it and understand it. And I'm doing that as as and when it happens, literally. I also have noticed, and I'm not saying this is a truth, this is something, an observation, somewhat of an observation that I've noticed, that whenever there is activity, the other correlation of my body symptoms, the physical symptoms that I've had, certainly in the last year, and I never ever used to. My partner would say, "Oh, you're always sick," but I was always sensitive to certain foods and certain energies, but never really ill. I mean, the COVID thing's a great example of that. A couple of days, I think I've had worse colds, in all honesty, and that was only because of the testing and going on a plane, and the fact that it was a PCR test to confirm that I'd had it. It didn't show up on the other testing, not for a while, and when it did, it was for a matter of 3 days. So yeah, I'd say that I've got a really good constitution, if you, for want of a better word, on one level, and then a hypersensitive one on another level when it comes to foods, when it comes to stuff that's processed, stuff that's got chemicals, will turn my stomach like, someone else will say, "Oh, asthmatic." Then that's as a story. It only ever happens if there was a something I was releasing from around the lungs, or where what do you call it? Environmentally, there was factors that would come up. So yeah, super sensitive, maybe some would say. And if you aren't aware of my history that I've spoken about, like with my stomach has always been a barometer for emotion. In my the body's emotional field, I've always picked up the energy of that, and then that's been translated. Well, when light comes in, when it comes it comes in and hits the nervous system. So for me, that was that anxiety point. It was knowing the atmosphere of the room, like that feeling when you can walk in and cut the knife. So as a child, that kept me safe. Not that I was unsafe, but it was a protection mechanism, because I needed to know the moods that people were in, and that did affect me. But it made me grow up on the emotional body, within the emotional body, quicker. So that part of me is more evolved, because as a child it was important to know how the adults around me were, and whether their relationship, what was happening with them, because that affected the day and what we did and what was happening on both with my real parents and my now step parents. So and we've evolved from that, but it was really important, I think. But it also, that early learning allows for you to become aware of what the field and the energy field of others, and how you can interact with them. So that was my the gut. And so through my teens, and I have actually spoken of this before, I would have panic attacks, and so stress and tools, which is one of the reasons I have learned how to, or why I learned to meditate in the first place, why I learned about breath work in the first place, and movement and the shaking, and how important that is when we're accessing our nervous system. So those mental tools that you could use, and understanding the mental stories that are happening, and how you can tap into your own emotional fields to help clear that, for want of another perspective of looking at things. So going back to with the ascension symptoms, one of and what I wanted to say, and in relationship to what Kerry Kay had mentioned about, one person had said to her, she said, "Oh, I've been like, I couldn't get out of bed for a year." She said, that's something you need to check out. So I want to say the same. Like, you do still need to be mindful. Like, I'm always giving you options of, your you can do this with Qigong, it can help with this, and you can do this, but you still have to listen to your own gut and like think, well, okay, I'm still going to get that checked out, but do it with someone that you trust, with a practitioner that you trust, because obviously if you're not trusting what the person is saying, then you're not going to be getting the help you need. So whatever practitioner or modality you're going to for that help, that's important. Don't just dismiss things, because I know myself, there will be indicators, and I consider myself lucky and blessed in the fact that I have people that I can go to ask questions. Like when my sugar levels were out, when I was dizzy, I knew that it was because of being prone to gestational diabetes. So sugar for me has been the big thing, but I've noticed for lots of other people, it's oh, I can feel that sun now. You see that coming through the window? It's nice. Help clear. So where was I? Yeah. So for me, that may be sugar, but others, I know it's like a realization. One of my friends or acquaintances from work said a little while back, oh, wow, look, for a few years I wanted to give up alcohol, and I decided to give up for 4 weeks. I felt amazing. I realized that this is something that actually I wasn't enjoying anymore. And someone else said to me the same thing recently. I don't know why I do this. I don't know why I get drunk. And I heard what was it? Someone said, oh, New Year's Eve, it's like we poison ourselves. And then the following day we start to say, we're going to have all these resolutions to be and do and be better and detox. So I was encouraging my members certainly to start your detox of what you want to do and be in alignment with before, and don't do what you're not in alignment with anymore. And for me, it's that. So being in alignment with your thoughts and your thoughts about something, so you don't have to believe what I've just said about the alcohol. As long as you're in alignment and in accordance with your own beliefs about it, then you will be fine. But my beliefs about sugar and my beliefs about what I'm putting into my body and the sensitivity to it, from experience as well, that's a lot of people say, well, that's my experience of that. Mine too. However, it's more about being in concurrence, what's that word? Yeah, in accordance, in concurrence with your beliefs. If you are shifting and changing and you're feeling the shift, as they say, feeling shift, it's because you've had an up leveling of maybe thinking in a different perspective, and you're wanting to align with that. And maybe the alcohol or the sugar, for me, as an example, doesn't sit in accordance with that. So it's not in concurrence, which means my body then needs to level up. And it's also in concurrence, in line with those thoughts, those beliefs. If I'm not then taking those actions and being authentic towards them, then you're going to have that resistance come up. And that's what happens. And I've used sugar and alcohol as an example, very briefly, but you can put that in alignment with your emotions about relationships, with your emotions about a behavior like a diet plan or an exercise plan or working out. So then, for example, you might start that and go, oh no, I ache really badly, or my body, it can't take it, or I hurt myself. So it's almost like that resistance comes up, so you'll hurt yourself, so you then can't do that, to be in alignment, in accordance with your belief about the fact that it's because you're not ready to do that. So how do you break out of those patterns? One is my question that I'm kind of putting to myself and putting out there for you to ask yourself with this whole New Year's resolution. Two, how do you be authentic with that? So she says, coughing. I know that when I'm doing the Qigong daily, which is why I wanted to do 365 days of the Qigong, that my body feels better. But when I'm feeling like I was this morning and my body is purging like it was, I know I've still got to give it the rest, because I've got that belief that I need that rest. Now, whether it comes from it being an ascension symptom, or whether it comes from the fact that maybe you've got a bug, or that you've got food poisoning, or whatever the story is around whatever is happening in that experience, then you still need to be in alignment with it. So what I've been doing as a tool, maybe as a prop, as a bridging belief, is to allow myself those times when those high energy comes in, because I know for me, it's more about oh, I know when that hits. So I've now started that expectation of belief that that might mean I'm tired, therefore I am tired, or oh, I'm not doing the qigong, so therefore I will be not having the energy in the same way. So you're looking at all these structures and even questioning the ones that you already have. Now, that might be a bit of confusion. Wait, stop fighting. These two. They're fighting over my Christmas present, which was this thing. I don't know if you can see that. It's a mat that's made from all recycled stuff that heats up with like a battery thing, but it's meant to be all eco-friendly. And of course, it was bought for me because my partner had obviously taken note of the fact that I'd been moaning. And I'm like, why am I moaning? And why am I moaning? That's like, oh, this is a red flag of something that needs to shift. And of course, the cats are loving it. It's like a heated cat mat for humans. Anyway, so I wanted to speak about this. So don't ignore what's happening. But at the same time, when I'm saying, oh, don't call it a cold, say it's purging, because then we can align with it in a better way and get through it quickly. It's the same for any other things that are coming up. And colds, one thing, flu symptoms. But listening and understanding your body is key. Is the one thing. So I will definitely be going live later for our third day of Qigong. Oh, third day of Qigong. But I wanted to just go live now and say, look, this is what I'm going through. This is what I'm feeling. It's been in waves. It's not constant. I'll have, my partner was going, yeah, but if you've got a bug, you have it until it gets out of your system, which is why I know for me it is ascension symptoms, because it comes in waves like the energy. Even the pain itself of the resistance comes in waves. The one thing I had said that it seems to be in accordance with and seems to be a theme that I was questioning, but not wanting to kind of link for that to be to continue, was it also seems to happen when we have a lot of earthquake activity or volcanic activity, that I get this fire in the belly coming up. So I listen to that and as well and think of it, well, okay, if it's just a sense of being in tune with the earth, in the fact that the earth is readjusting, it's stretching, it's doing its kind of revolving its daily stretches, day meaning like huge cycles of time periods, then there's a shift happening, then I need to be aware of the shift happening in with me. It's just your body speaking to you and saying, what do I need right now? Now, I'm talking very much about the physical aspects that I've been going through and working through myself. But for you, that might be the mental. You might have had brain fog. You might be going, oh, I really don't know what to do. It might be emotions have come up, or you felt really like you're grieving something, or an ending, even though you there's no particular rhyme or reason for that. Or you might be actually grieving because of it. We're going to have experiences like a cold or a death, or that's going to mirror what is happening on the externally. So really be honest with yourself. I try to be honest with myself and with you guys as much as I can. And one of the things that I feel that in the spiritual community, it's all about this high vibe. Our focus is important. But at the same time, we mustn't spiritually bypass what's there or make it as an excuse. So in one hand, I'm going, yeah, okay, you're not going to be high vibe all the time. And some of the symptoms of this, oh, wow, it's amazing, I feel great today. And other times it's, I'm feeling real release of density. Yes, there's a whole load of downloads I've just had, but at the same time now, I'm feeling this like shift, as we say. That shift means I feel like my body now needs to catch up with what's just come in. And that happens. And one part of the morning, I can be throwing up and like really not in a good place. You'd think, oh God, it's like death's door. And by the afternoon, be fine. So it's that quick, which is how you know it's it's ascension. Same, don't ignore it. Don't, if it is something more that you need to seek or go to a practitioner, and if you don't have that intuitive understanding, although I really encourage you, certainly on our channel, to always ask your body what it needs. Listen to what your body, what it needs. As I said at the beginning of the video, the examples for me was it's that tiny amount of alcohol for me is a trigger. And whether that's a anchored trigger that I've now created that will continue to happen in expectation, or an actual one because my of past what they call it ulcers, that I just can't have it. I feel as though I've created a new one now with terms of processed food and sugars. So knowing what my body needs is important, and knowing that I need to honor this. If I'm stating don't want to have that in my life anymore, then I need to be in concurrent with what my body, my thoughts and my feelings and my heart emotions are about that situation. And the same for you guys, whether it's, and I'm here to say, okay, this is what I'm giving as an example for me that's happening in my life, but that for you might be a relationship. It might be when you're around certain people. It might be how you feel about a job. It could be anything, but to be in concurrent with what, or in accordance with what you feel about something. So if you don't feel in it, if you're not feeling it, then it's not going to be for you. Then things are going to start to happen for that to push you. So because we've still got that overline energy. We've had the 8 energy of this year is coming in, and this is a great year to make the changes that we've been wanting to happen. Like the transformation year we've just coming out of is the chrysalis. So these are the times that we're kind of coming out of that collectively and personally. But your time frame that you put on that, there is no set, oh, it's going to happen now, it's going to happen on the first of the month. Don't be in a hurry to think, okay, well, I've planted my seeds of intentions, I've started doing this, and now why is it not happening? Why am I not high vibe all the time? And my point about the bypassing is you're not going to be high vibe all the time. And I think that's important to know, that just because you're maybe not feeling 100% doesn't mean you aren't in alignment either. It may mean that you've had some, in fact, it's a good indication you've upgraded if things are starting to shift all over you, because it means then in the physical now, density, time and reality, it's time for the shifts. And that's what higher perspective of what's happening externally is about. It's because now it's time for us to catch up with these wonderful, loving feelings that a lot of us are tuning into, connecting to in the energy now in the physical, which has that delay, which is why a lot of the sensitives, people that think of or identify with the word light warrior, light worker, they feel that energy prior, so they can allow themselves to work through it and then share that with others. Listening to my body, one of the things I was asking is, what do you need right now? And through Christmas, through the sacred cycle, that was definitely rest. And now it's definitely movement, and water is important. Food, I'm not 100% sure. It's definitely veggies for me, green leafy vegetables, is what I'm calling for. That doesn't mean that that's what your body, but ask what your body wants, ask it what it needs, if it's a physical thing, in very much reflection on the stuff I've shared. But the same with your emotions. What do you need? Do you need space? Do you need time? Do you need company? Do you need to be around people? Do you need community? I realized on the emotional level, I felt like and it wasn't a need, it was a calling. I had this calling to want to lead again, which I'd stopped doing for a while because I needed to have that space for me, and to open that space up for others. So I think I went back to doing the meditation Mondays, and I'm going to be doing and inviting certainly my members along, but just for my friends, once a month, having a circle for people to have that space to share and to talk about these things that I'm sharing, and to just empathize with each other, and and compassionately witness that. So, and I'm looking forward to having that time. So around January, I always use my birthday as the excuse for that. So I'm looking forward to being able to have that space, um, and to share the things I love to do that I know help me to help others. So message for this video, to recap, is to be in concurrent with what your new downloads are, your feelings and those energies that you're aligning with. Your body's now coming into alignment with those as well, and that might be showing up for you in different ways. So don't feel panicky about that. If you're feeling a little bit of a, like they say, after Christmas, it's always, not always that word, it sometimes can, for some, can be a bit of a deflation this time of the year. Know that actually that's normal, even if you're picking up on others' feelings of that. Know that it is normal to have these spaces. You can't, it can't always be high. You've got to have that balance. And this is an 8. Yeah, it's the infinity symbol. It's about balance. And that's balance of everything, on balance of knowing what, when you're going to have times like these, and being okay with it and accepting that, being in accordance with your own thoughts and feelings about it. So that's important, whatever the situation is, be it with your wellness, your relationships, your finances. So I will see you later today for some movement once I am a little bit more, and I'm already, as I said, after healing the sun. It just takes time to process, and you need to allow yourself that time. So love and blessings wherever you are. See you later today for our Qigong day 3, I think we are, and we're working with, I don't know if the sacrum or the sacrum. We'll be working with the stomach, which is perfect for what I'm really in need of my own self today.